Welcome back to Scinary Information Nexus, your podcast of sin.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. It is Friday, May 1st, 2026. And believe it or not, it is May 1st, 2026 in Texas. And I've got a pullover.
I know.
It's like 50 degrees.
It's 55 degrees outside and raining.
Yeah, it's
Nothing matters anymore. Nothing's real. Let's have some mead.
I love that. I love that segue. Let's get to some drinking.
So
I will have
Does
some
everybody
of that.
else remember the mead episode?
no.
I did only bring one bottle this time.
Yeah.
So
pour me a
for
big bottle.
longtime viewers, we did a mead episode several months ago, and I thought I had outlawed mead in this company. However, the store that sits on the second floor, one floor below us, sells it.
Yeah,
by the bottle.
And my lunch break came before.
So we are taking. Joe, what do we have in here?
This is Blackberry Melomel, and this is from Texas Meadworks. We actually did have some of this last time.
Yep.
Is this got the jalapeno shit in it?
No, this, you'll notice
You
there is a
use a sensor for that.
There's a nice label on this bottle.
Okay.
This is the label that came on it.
Okay.
This
Along with the Surgeon General's warning.
yes, actually, somewhere on here.
I will
This
say
side.
it's not the Dark Wizard, but this one was also very good.
Yes. Yeah, they didn't have the Dark Wizard downstairs, so
Yeah, that takes me back to September 2025.
That sounds ominous.
I do love this.
It
so
is
much.
good.
It's like literally the best things of wine without any of the downsides.
Yep.
Today-
yeah, my wife
tasty.
describes wine as juice that hates itself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like prison wine.
You talking about trash?
Don't want
What
to
is
know.
it, toilet
I don't want
punch?
to know.
Toilet punch. That stuff that like. Didn't Diddy make some? Can I say that?
Oh, this one's going in the trash heap too.
We are 2 minutes and 12 seconds into the
Yeah,
podcast.
we didn't even say
Redacted
hi.
do redacted things.
Oh, as always, I am joined by my colleagues, Joseph Hamilton,
Hello.
Mario Ortiz, Brazos Wortham.
Howdy.
So
I
to
have to obfuscate myself now for a little bit.
drink some more, I think. I like this version of Mario.
I've had 2 sips.
Yeah, and already pulled out Diddy.
I want some more of that.
Oh, anyway, we did not pregame, by the way.
No, we didn't.
No, this is just us. We're normal.
Yeah. It's imagine any work gets done here. Like,
We've got what I think is an interesting episode today. We're going to talk about first of all, Texas Cyber Command. They sent out some emails, and we're going to discuss those here in a little bit. And then later on, we're going to talk about the NPM hacks, the supply chain hacks
Yeah.
that appear to be on the rise, because that's something that's real concerning to us. But first, let's get into the Texas Cyber Command and their solicitation for services that we received this week. Not only us, I'm sure everybody that's on,
on the list.
received this. And we've actually got it pulled up in screen here, so we will show the first one. And this one is the Texas Cyber Command solicits for a solution that establish operational maneuver on Texas government networks. So here's, first of all, Texas Cyber Command solicits for a solution that establish, like there was no spell check
Yeah, obviously.
that happened on this. Operational maneuver on Texas government networks.
Which
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Can anyone tell me what that means?
All I know is it's going to be in our next rules of engagement for our pen test.
Absolutely.
We will conduct an operational maneuver on your network.
we have often on this podcast, like, we take the job seriously, but we never take ourselves too seriously. And we've often talked on this podcast about companies that do take themselves too seriously, especially in their marketing, with the Delta Force operators on the cover of their pamphlets and all of that, right? They make it very combat related. Well, operational maneuver is a military term. Now, it just so happens that the head guy at the Texas Cyber Command is I think he's an ex-Navy admiral.
Yeah, Navy. Yeah.
Navy admiral. So this kind of language fits that genre. I had to look this up. I know what it means in military context, like tanks and combined arms maneuver on the battlefield, but I didn't know what it meant in the context of cybersecurity. So I had to look this up. And go ahead, Brazos.
Well, I don't know what you're going to say, but I did somewhat hear about at one point in time. I remember the offensive security episode that we had.
Yes.
And I was talking about the letters of marque.
Yes.
So did I say it right this time, Joe?
I guess. I don't remember.
The whole thing where they would give you like the right to be a pirate if you did it in the service of your country.
Yeah.
So I heard that it was actually considered, like 100% considered, to bring back the letters of marque on a cybersecurity like pretense. Like they were going to use that law that was established.
This is exactly what I said was probably going to happen and why we needed to switch over to offensive security so we can start doing cyber ops, because they're going to start paying people to do cyber ops. They're going to create U.S. pirates.
Yep.
I was going to say, matey.
So I don't know what you're going to bring up, but is this like offensive security as operational maneuvers?
I looked this up because there is, guess what? The United States Department of Defense uses this terminology in their cyber.
We're pirates.
Who don't do anything.
What it really means is
raise the mast.
Your SOC analyst sees something. They need to be able to get to the endpoint.
Okay.
So they just want someone that can do EDR?
They want TeamViewer.
They need to be able to get to whatever device is causing the alert.
What does get to mean? Physically?
No,
metaphysically?
I think logically.
Oh man, I really want to combat roles in the hallway.
So the way I would understand this, let's say that you have an attack happening on an endpoint. You need to be able to operationally maneuver from where you are as a SOC analyst to that endpoint logically to take action and defend the network against.
We do that shit all the time.
Right. We call it endpoint detection and response.
Yeah.
Right. But this is
like the industry term.
Well, so I would assume what they mean here is more on the side of like remote connection to the endpoint, if I had to guess.
Well, that's a part of it, but in the cybersecurity land, it's not so much remoting into the device. It's more about getting to the device to take action on the device.
So like isolating it.
So isolating it, using a remote shell to see what's going on, basically all of your EDR type stuff.
Do we know, because again, in the email is kind of the first layer. I assume they actually have like a full solicitation document with more details.
They do.
When they say networks, are they actually referring to more than just like workstations and servers? Because
yes.
I could see where that gets a little bit more complicated whenever you're talking about like core switches or APs. Like, a solution like that is more intricate than EDR.
Being able to get into like the full on like database servers and
so
stuff like that. And
I guess the point with this email, we're going to get to the second one because the second one is even more like, what in the hell are these guys doing? What are they trying to communicate here? Right.
Yeah, this one they chose a very militaristic term.
Yes.
To describe what there's also a very civilian industry term for.
Exactly.
Which to me points to who they're targeting.
Maybe so. Maybe they've got the contractors already picked out for this, and operational maneuver is in their packet.
I mean, you kind of know how.
That wouldn't happen. We look, everything's fair.
Yes,
right? Everyone has a chance.
Absolutely. So
allegedly.
Yeah, that was the first one that we got. The second one that we got, which I'm going to pull up here if I can. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Did that?
You need to pull an operational maneuver on your screen there.
Did that change? That didn't change, did it?
Yes,
Yeah,
it did. That's
yeah.
different.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Maneuver
this-
successful.
This one.
So Texas Cyber Command solicits for a solution that will take back Texas's sovereign IP terrain and map and enumerate Texas networks.
Also,
what-
I love
what?
how Texas. Oh well, no, okay. Sorry, I thought I saw quotations around Texas. It's
Okay,
It's
let's-
just an apostrophe.
I want to get past the typos
generated
well, I don't
language.
even think AI would be better than this for sure.
Yeah.
But listen to the language. Look at the title of the solicitation: Sovereign Terrain and Digital Border Defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the description will take back Texas sovereign IP rights,
Well,
IP terrain.
IP terrain, which what is that?
Well, hold on. Did they lose it?
Right? Into who?
Yeah.
Who invaded our Texas sovereign IPs?
This
Who are we defending from? I guess, right?
China.
look. I am all for state government having cyber protections in place for state governments. Right? They need that, right? But I think we've gone a little off the deep end on describing how this stuff works. So, what do they mean by Texas sovereign IP terrain?
I do find this because I know what they're trying to like make the connection to. It's like the United States sovereign territory, right? The idea of like
Sounds some like Uncle Sam stuff.
well,
right there.
it is like a legitimate term. Like the idea, like Texas, like the state of Texas is like sovereign territory of the United States.
But
And
but it's a term that doesn't really apply to the internet.
and so yeah, that's the thing is like one IP addresses. Like yes, you can own them. Like but it's
But
like
then no one has to take them back.
Yeah.
They're yours.
yeah, and it's like how do you? Yeah, you can get something that is a asset on that's utilizing an external IP compromised, but you're not taking back the IP.
So
Like-
here's my question: has Texas called their ISP?
Also, let me. The other thing about taking back the sovereign IP terrain, or sovereign IP terrain, and enumerate Texas networks. You know, like the fact that, like Texas, I know you're probably using 192.168, and so am I. You don't have to take back my private IP address.
Here's the thing. So I'm sure the state of Texas has their own IP block.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As they should.
As they should. Did you lose that?
Yeah.
Do you not know what the block is?
Mm-hmm.
And I swear I've got a response to this RFP typed up, and it says Nmap $1 million, and I'll probably be the cheapest.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and that's why I also find this interesting, is because this title
Yo, I kind of was.
this title is also exceedingly misleading compared to what's actually in that RFO.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's the other thing about it is that the way this is presented is very much like we are on the offense. We're going to take back what was taken from us. Their IP addresses, my dudes.
Right.
You know, it's not.
The RFO is like, can you manage my network?
Can you run Nmap, please? Can you get on Shodan and see what Shodan is showing on these things?
Why do you think? Because like obviously, whenever you actually look at the solicitation, it's a little bit more detailed. It makes a little bit more sense. Why do you think they use this type of language in the actual like titles? And
I have no earthly idea because the only people that are getting these solicitations are nerds.
Right.
I mean,
like. The other one this is the one whenever we originally shared this in the chat that I was like, okay, what are you saying? Like, what do you like? This makes no sense. Now that you've explained the operational maneuver one, I kind of like, okay, they're using a term that yes, the industry probably would not use, at least our like us.
Right.
But
The target industry.
if you go into like military defense contractors, I guarantee you that is probably in Palantir's like name. Like if they were to start talking about that, they would probably use operational maneuver to describe
are you
that.
telling me that maybe a sales rep from Palantir went to Texas Cyber Command and said, look, we need to be able to operationally maneuver on your network to take back your sovereign IT terrain.
I mean, it may have not been Palantir per se, but
somebody
replace-
put those words in.
Are you
Yes
saying
and
that
no.
there's a type of literacy that perhaps gives advantages to people who understand that type of speech?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I think this one maybe has a slightly political bent to it as well. I think you're right that there's only a certain crowd of people that are going to see it. But if anyone else were to see it, like if this were to be published in a paper, which I looked up for it yesterday, I've not looked for it today. I'd be interested to see if there's anything out there on it. But the whole border security side of it, which is very interesting coming from an internet perspective.
well, I think now that you mentioned that, maybe not necessarily papers, but like when the Texas Cyber Command like director like gets up and talks about this on Fox News or whatever, CNN or whatever like news outlet that he's talking about, and he's like, we're spending $1.4 billion on this like solicitation to take
protect
back the sovereign IP of Texas and protect our border, our internet borders. It's like
I've heard that before, but slightly different.
yeah, I know, right?
that's why I think
I could see where that's coming from.
that's why I think it's political, is because I think you're very much right. I think they're going to use it for the PR stance. But the other thing I think that it does is it obfuscates what the RFO actually is, because they can keep the talking points to how this is supposed to protect.
But the talking points to who? That's the problem, is who's going to see this?
Well, if they go up on Fox News, or and it's one of those things where maybe they're just protecting themselves against someone coming up and asking about the RFO, and they'll be like, "Well, you're against protecting our IP border security." Like, so it may be preventative on the PR side for some reason.
It makes no damn sense.
It still doesn't. No, it's as an objective sentence, it makes no sense.
No bias here.
yeah.
I am the world's best marketing person when it comes to explaining what we do, and I can use the big words. Never in my career have I used language like this to describe what it is that we do. I'm going to start doing it now.
Well, I'd wait to see how, what business they pick up and see if it works or not.
So here's the other thing. So we read through the RFO on this IP sovereign thing, whatever it was.
We
had to figure out what the hell they were doing, because when you first read it, you're like, Texas IP are the Great Firewall of Texas?
Yeah.
Is that what's going to happen?
Don't tell me you wouldn't back that, though.
I would not back that.
What do you mean?
It gets rid of your VPNs.
Eliminate all VPNs and no
What are
privacy
you
at all.
hiding, Joe? What are you hiding?
I don't know, but whatever it is, it comes out of California.
So that when that grabs you, I'm like, what the hell is the state of Texas trying to do? And then you read through the RFO, right? And it has this list of requirements that they want this solution to do. Well, I took that list of requirements and I fed it into AI. And I said, list the top 3 companies that could actually pull this off. You know what number 1 was?
I bet
Palantir.
Palantir.
Yeah.
You know what number 2 was?
Palantir.
SIAC.
Okay.
So check this out. SIAC currently has a contract with the state of Texas to deliver cybersecurity products and services. They're on a DIR contract. Right. Well, and they're also managing the the free EDR. They took over for AT&T, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they took over for AT&T. So they would be what is considered the integrator. In other words, SCIEC by themselves don't produce anything.
Right.
They don't have EDR. They don't have firewalls. They don't have switches. They can do assessments and stuff like that, but they're still using third-party stuff.
Right.
They are a classic integrator, although they're like a $20 billion integrator.
Yeah. A company that most likely, unless you are in a very specific industry, you probably have never even heard of before.
Right.
So,
Palantir actually makes stuff and deploys stuff.
Right.
So it could be that SCIEC wins the contract and subs
yeah,
to Palantir.
Yep. Mhm.
Subs to Palantir.
Yep.
To get that, or someone else. Now that's what AI told me. That's what Claude told me. I don't know. We will see. All I know is, based on the requirements of the solution, this is going to be at least a $100 million investment.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to take a few years.
It's going to take a few years,
So-
and I would be surprised if it worked. In
What is
any-
the because I know y'all read the RFP a little bit more
Yeah.
than me. What was the actual like things that the RFP was looking for to protect the sovereign IP borders?
Yeah,
of the
so
state
they
of
want
Texas?
one solution to do patch management, to do EDR, to do network
monitoring,
to do cloud monitoring,
but also to do network configuration. I mean, it's basically like IT.
And the big thing, which I think is going to be the number one price tag on this, is every endpoint has to be logged to a centralized location.
And it
Think
all
about
has
the
to be.
state of Texas in every endpoint, every switch, every router, every computer.
Yeah, so
And
it's
it-
specifically endpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And it specifically says that AI has to be leveraged over that data to be able to parse it and specifically pull out whatever they want.
Yeah.
So it specifically says that you have to be able to pull large amounts of remote data offsite. So that's the other thing, is this means that this data is not going to be housed on Texas infrastructure. And they say that you have to already have a large scale data center,
Yes.
some kind of data storage facility.
And who has that?
That very, very much limits who can take this contract.
Yeah. Well, and so
Again, $1 million in map. I can do it.
the interesting thing, and just to kind of explain, just because I do have, I don't have the most in-depth knowledge by any means. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot more than me, and I would not be surprised if you guys know as well. I do think that is interesting, the way that they, depending on how the RFP is exactly worded, but I think that does kind of fit with the idea of like a Palantir type solution, because the whole thing with Palantir, like what they do, and they have a number of different products, but one of the big things that they're known for is literally taking desperate pieces of data and basically orchestrating all of that into a platform that then utilizes AI to,
Yep.
I mean, that is,
And
what-
that's honestly what pointed me to Palantir the most, was
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
particular facet of it. Because there's a lot of people that can do the cybersecurity and IT solution all rolled into one. There's a few people that could satisfy that. You start adding in the large data lake and the AI, that starts going way down.
well, Palantir wouldn't be at the data lake layer necessarily, or like what, I don't think that's what they're looking for, because they've already got the data. Now you have to take that data and put it into a centralized location.
Right.
But it looks like they're looking for an orchestration tool, like an orchestration tool to take every piece of this like multifaceted data set and then utilize AI to combine that multifaceted data set to come up with some sort of
It is a
finding.
at the very least, it is a very lofty goal.
Yeah.
You know, there is a facet of this that could be a taking back of sovereign IPs, depending on whose idea it is and what they mean by sovereign IPs. Because if it's the state all of a sudden saying, hey, cybersecurity should really be the purview of the state, and all these city and county and school.
Whoever wrote this was very aggressive in their language.
Yes.
Right. So I would not be surprised if we're dealing
But
with.
I could see that as taking back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are we going to logically invade Oklahoma?
We could take them.
I mean,
yeah,
at this point, let's just do it physically.
I mean,
It might be quicker.
So what do they got? 5-6 IPs up there?
Well, and they allow the 13-year-olds to work now, so they'll probably be pretty easy to take over.
Okay.
Well, if you're
We gotten
13-year-old
that
and
bad
want a
up north?
cybersecurity internship, do not come here. We have an age requirement.
It will be very interesting to see how this plays out in the future. Again,
yeah.
this is a
I do
big
want-
endeavor.
I do wonder, like, so do they go into any detail on describing, like, do they mention like IPs in the RFP?
They do not mention their IPs.
Well, not the IP specifically, but do they? Because what I wonder is, like, what do they? Are they specifically referring to, like, external resources that are owned by state agencies? Like, what happens if someone walks in with a public machine and connects to a public Wi-Fi in the Capitol building? Is that now considered a sovereign IP? Like,
Well, so you would get an IP assigned to the state capitol, so that would be a sovereign IP.
yeah. And then, so if you're talking about orchestrating all this data, is that now, like, let's say you go and type in something on your phone and you start looking it up, does that go into this, like,
dude,
AI?
the legislators down there, they better watch what they
Yeah.
what they put if they're connected to the Wi-Fi there in the Capitol. That's a good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah, like where do, if that's
Make 'em-
our vision?
So
of
the
Make them a little easier to leverage.
Yeah. So the RFO, from my read, really points to Texas government agencies. Nothing beyond that I could see. Although the language in the email, is just weird.
It's just like one of those things because of how, whenever you start working with internal networks and private IP addresses or private IP addresses, you go to I don't know, the department that handles ag, and then you go over to the department of, public safety.
Yeah.
And it's very likely that there's probably a building out there that has the same public or private IP address scheme somewhere. So, like, how do you denote the difference between somebody, like, literally I walked into a building and had my phone connected to the Wi-Fi versus the sheriff of a.
Well, that's another thing that we discussed when this thing came out and we started reading through the RFO, because on your point, there's a lot of privilege communications that happen. So are you logging those conversations as well? Is everybody going to start using Signal, Telegram?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Can you use a VPN on a state network? Is that going to be allowed?
Right.
Well, and there's been a thing, especially in all the conversations with, like, Flock that gets involved, but you can go and look at this with any sort of, like, data lake clearinghouse type thing. Is while the data is being created right now and does exist, it exists in a plethora of different areas. So you would need to compromise every single area individually. But if you create a singular location data lake with all of this information, you now reduced the number of targets that you have from thousands, millions to one.
And then my favorite is they're layering AI over it, which I still hold to. No one has shown me AI that is not susceptible to prompt injection.
Well, so here's the thing. It's going to be, so China, it has this type of concept. China knows what you connect to, when you connect to it, and where you're going.
Yeah.
Damn the VPNs, right? You're not getting out to the internet if you've got a VPN on your phone. And the reason why they do that is to keep tabs on, subversives. Yeah. People that aren't with the program, as it were.
So,
or as in 1984, used to call them the non-humans.
what is it?
Non-citizens.
Okay.
What is it? 2026 Abbott Seytong?
I'm not going to go that far. We love our dear leader.
I do think
Good
that
read.
Really
Really good read.
the unfortunate piece of that, though, is it's not it's not any one person, any one party. It's it is the system.
So,
it was a joke, but
and it's way too much data for any entity to go through to mine on everyone. Right. Basically, if they want to target you, they've got data.
Yeah.
Right.
But and that's the thing. And again, kind of to like a lot of the points on like Louis Rossmann and everything is, don't create the data in the first place, because when you do, you open the door to abuse. There's no, like, yes, there are benefits to doing that, but at the end of the day, the downsides of that, the data, it's Pandora's box.
Yeah.
You've opened it up. Like, you now have, like, what prevents, it may not be this current administration. It may not be like within the year that it gets compromised, whatever.
Right.
But because it exists, you have now opened the ability for it to be abused, for it to be exploited, whatever that may be. And it's like, otherwise, if it wasn't there, you get rid of it entirely.
For a state like Texas that has a very libertarian slant to it politically, basically, don't mess with me and I won't mess with you. Stay out of my business, I'll stay out of your business type thing. This is pushing. This is getting into some really into some waters that have not been explored by Texas ever.
Well, they keep ratcheting up the stuff that they've been doing. In fact, and
I don't get it. I don't understand why.
It's weird. I mean, so Texas is one of the most, and I mean, you could look at it from two different angles. It could be good or bad, but Texas is one of the most heavily funded states when it comes to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Like the idea of the Texas Cyber Command, the EDR education thing, the RSOCs, all of this
Stargate in Abilene or wherever it's at.
It's one of the most heavily funded states when it comes to cybersecurity and technology. But it's like the things that they're doing, fundamentally contradict some of the small government style rhetoric that has been around for years, and I don't quite understand why.
I'll be honest. I think it goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about on the last podcast, which, to sum that up, it would be basically that you have these third party interests that are trying to push for certain regulation in order to benefit their companies, but then you also have the lack of knowledge, the lack of education from both the populace who doesn't quite understand what's going on. And so maybe they still think it's libertarian, or, I think there's also been this slant of, and this is going to get into kind of wonky territory of protect the children with it.
Yeah.
Of, we can do all this stuff that we want to do because it's to protect the children, and don't worry about the fact that it also gives us this other capabilities.
There's a moral, virtue signaling. A moral reason, but that hides the true, maybe a true intent in the back end, or which to your point of and I say ignorance, but I don't mean that in a negative connotation in this sense, plays off the ignorance of somebody that may not fully know.
Well, and lawmakers. Yeah. I mean, because lawmakers also don't necessarily know this.
Well, we talked about it many times with the data center thing, where it's you go into a small town and you tell the city council of this town with 1,000 people in it, hey, I'm about to put a $200 million business in your small town. I'm going to bring so much tax money to you. I'm going to open this place for new jobs. And it's it sounds really good to these people that don't really understand the industry.
Right.
And so they agree to it.
And all they have to go off of is what that company's telling them.
And there's no one else to battle it. And so you have to believe in the good intentions of someone. And often...
And I want to be clear, part of the reason why we're in cybersecurity in the demographic we're in is to protect kids' data and educators' data. So there is a good onus there. There is a good reasoning behind wanting those kinds of things. And it has been an underserved area for a very long time.
Agreed.
So there were a lot of good reasons to get there. And some of the things that were pushed, all the way back in 2018, made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But as it's gone on, it's become this, there's money there all of a sudden. I can push for more regulation. I can start getting more contracts. And all of a sudden you start seeing these other bigger entities come in and push for more regulation and push for more funding to go to that area. And now it's starting to become something a little different.
Well, I stand by the thing that we have always said regarding the stuff from 2018, 2019, the free cybersecurity grants, all that, is that you can tell that there was a money motivation behind something, like somewhere, even if it wasn't by the policymakers, but the people that told them it was a good idea are really pushed for it. There was a money motivation behind it, because if you look at it, they didn't open it up to the people, like anybody. There was very specific companies that they gave access to, and that still is the same today. Yep. Like the RSOCs and their email security platform, it's only a singular company that's a part of that. There's nobody else.
Right.
They're not giving the schools or the state agencies, the local government, the ability to choose what they want. They're saying you're going to use this and it's free.
Is it one of those things where everybody knows cybersecurity is an issue, but the general populace is just kind of ignorant of what to do? So if the state has this solution, they're like, "Hey, that sounds good to me."
That's pretty much it, I think. And I think the companies are capitalizing on that a little bit and lobbying for their own self-interest, which means some of that's how the system works. But I do think that it necessitates some critical thinking.
Here, the conversation is that the idea that there's a need, right? It's very clear that there is a need. If, let's say, you remove the CrowdStrike funding, the RSOC funding, you remove us from the picture, the amount of damage that would be done from a cybersecurity perspective to public sector is massive.
Oh yeah.
So there is a need there to protect these organizations, and so you get the CrowdStrikes of the world or whatever, and they send their lobbyists, or they pay for lobbyists to say, "Hey, there's a need that we can fulfill for you. No other company can do it like we can do it. We have the greatest technology out here. We've got the best people. The reason that other companies can't do it is because X, Y, and Z. They're not big enough. They don't have the certifications. They're not used to dealing with government sector." And that's kind of the area. And then they veil all that in good intentions, and then they say, "Yes, we know it's expensive."
The problem is that's a one size fits all solution.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, the people that certify the elevators, have the same data requirements as the Texas Department of Public Safety. Let me throw a question at y'all. Would it make more sense to have a one-size-fits-all solution to encompass all of those agencies? Or maybe you fund those agencies separately and have them develop their own internal requirements and their own internal cybersecurity practices.
But then there's no profit motive, and government doesn't do as good as private.
Well, I was going to say, how much more work does that create? For the money
look, I'm not saying doing it without oversight. So these state agencies have to report in to. That's what DIR is there for.
Yeah.
To aggregate all that reporting.
And I may be wrong about this, but it's my understanding that Texas Cyber Command is going to start subsuming the cyber part of DIR.
Yes.
So DIR is not going to have anything to do with it anymore.
DIR is just going to be a contracting entity now. Yeah. That's what's going to happen is that. And so again, DIR now with their cybersecurity people, what do you do with them? You don't need them anymore, right?
Yeah. I think so. And to play devil's advocate for half a second, I do understand the argument around not doing that. Now, if you were to ask me, I think that is the better of the two options, because I think a one-size-fits-all model ends up costing a lot more. If you get adoption that doesn't, show up, then you've spent money that, is wasted.
Which is what we've seen.
But here's the argument that comes in from the other side. And a valid one to some degree is, okay, well, now you're opening it up to smaller departments that may not necessarily understand what they need. Mm-hmm. So take the Department of Ag or a small sheriff's office somewhere that is a local government entity that has no IT professionals. And you tell them you need to draft your requirements for cybersecurity. Here's some money. Well, and then you get the kind of the same problem where a rep goes to that small sheriff's office or the Department of Ag and says, hey, I'll sell you this $200,000 solution despite you being a team of 4 people. And then it's like, well, I don't know what I need. You obviously do. And then they sign the check.
Or are you on a DIR contract? Yes.
Yeah. And then maybe you don't even get protection because whatever you bought actually doesn't do what you think it does.
Right.
So the argument for the whole of state one size fits all is that we have competent entities that are supposed to be validating the solutions and making the best choice for everybody.
Let me throw that right back at you.
But that doesn't often happen.
Yeah, let me throw that right back at you. You mentioned competent. Who's overseeing that? Who says that they're competent?
Well, and so that's the other thing, because I would say,
would you say because Texas Cyber Command has come into play, DIR was incompetent?
Well, so and I think a happy medium between what you two are saying is, to have honestly what Texas Cyber Command is supposed to be, which is this department of the state that can help supply the expertise to the smaller entities.
I think,
but instead of doing a one size fits all, maybe have them inform them. But the problem becomes anytime you expose an expertise level, the revolving door, which we've talked about before, is, if my idea is I'm going to bring in experts from the industry in order to tell me what's best in the industry, who did they work for? What is the conflict of interest? Does that end up being a problem?
They use the word operational maneuver.
Which
in sovereign IP terrain.
Yeah.
Those guys sound like they know what they're doing.
I mean, ultimately, you're just going to need a CISO for every place.
Well, you can have a
CISO.
CISO.
You still have CISOs at every place.
Well, and you can have a CISO like a CISO, a chief information security officer. It's basically a state level CISO who helps flesh out the other departments with the appropriate knowledge.
A regional manager.
Well,
but more or less, yeah.
Yeah, that's a regional manager.
Here's the thing. I'm all for Texas Cyber Command. I really want them to be successful. I do, because I think there is a need there, especially for like data clearinghouses, threat intelligence gathering. Yeah. There's no doubt that they would see a lot more stuff than like we see, right? And if they can publish that information, that would help us do our jobs.
Yeah, there's a way they can integrate with private that would be really, really effective.
The FBI is their cyber folks. They're good at this,
yes,
right? They are very good at this about sharing IOCs and stuff like that. So the language around those emails was a little harsh. Weird. It was just weird.
It was weird for improvement.
It was weird.
You have to go back to remembering that the head of the Cyber Command was former Navy.
Yeah.
And so maybe he had something to do with the terminology there.
I think that's just a product. More. I think it's a product of most government contracts. They tend to like have weird like language written into them to like that.
Now, come on, Brazos. You and I have read many RFO and requests for proposal for cyber.
Most
of
those are
never seen anything like that.
Most of those are K-12 and local government though. Like whenever you start getting into state and federal, you do get a lot more of that like DoD, like militaristic like language, just because that is the people that are writing those are most likely people that are used to dealing with procuring military or like state level stuff. So they're probably using that language just because it's what they
residents of the state of Texas, prepare to spend a lot of money. And if you're outside the state of Texas, don't let your state governments do this.
There probably are,
yeah.
Well, the problem is like with that is like which I guarantee you there was, but I don't recall it, which is a whole problem in of itself. But when was the whole like Texas Cyber Command and
so it was 2 years ago.
Like the
legislation was.
Yeah, like the legislation.
Yes, but the formation wasn't until September of last year.
Yes.
Yeah. But like when that went out to be like, did people vote on that? Like
No. The legislators passed it and the governor signed it, establishing the Texas Cyber Command.
Yeah, but basically like I guess what I'm getting at is like if you walk down to the bottom floor and you go and ask somebody, hey, what's Texas Cyber Command?
They're not going to know.
They're not going to know. It's like, so it's asking
again. I mean, we're a niche bunch of nerds here that are talking about a niche email using niche language for a niche agency.
True.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably 12 or 15 of our viewers that will view this and go, they're at it again. The rest of the other 8.
Honestly, after the last 3 episodes, I think we've probably locked in a certain viewership.
Yeah. Anyway,
any retainers comment?
Yeah.
Donate.
We need to move on to
Hello?
Oh no.
It's the government.
Brian. Pause here.
Okay. Do do
Hello.
do 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 do
Okay,
do
can I-
do do
is
do do
Wellington okay?
do 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 do
Okay, I
do
need to
do
call you
do
back in the
do
middle of the
do do
podcast.
do 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 do. And now back to our regular programming.
What are you having for dinner?
No, that was
Nighthawk.
the generator guy. Anyway, over the past 4 weeks, 6 weeks, we've had a number of what I would consider supply chain hacks
Yeah.
that have occurred. Just a couple of them. Docker Hub, March 19th. PyPI,
Yep.
March 24th.
They had a big one recently too.
Yeah. Docker Hub again on April 22nd. PyPI again on April 22nd.
And then you just start listing npm, npm.
Yeah, the one that I just love, the Bitwarden CLI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yep.
And for those that don't know what Bitwarden is, it's a password manager,
Open source.
open source
Yeah.
password manager, SAP NPM package,
Yep.
SAP, Intercom client NPM, PyTorch, PyPI again, and then my favorite hack so far is the copy fail.
So copy fail for the Linux, but you mix Axios
Yeah, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
did miss Axios
on NPM,
Didn't
that was huge.
I mean, didn't we already talk about that though?
Maybe we may have mentioned it, but I mean, but the point is there's been just so many, and I think there's a couple others in there that we still missed.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, there's a whole list that I wrote down here, but it would take too long to get
Right,
into.
right.
I do want to talk about the copy fail thing because I find this extremely interesting. There's a logic flaw in Linux dating back to 2017
yeah,
that allows this. Was it 968 bytes?
something like that. It was a very short.
It's
yeah.
a very short Python script that allows you to get root access on any Linux distribution.
Yep.
Published in 2017. I asked Donald about this. He said we don't have to worry because Donald OS was built in 2014.
Predates.
Is that like when the Southwest didn't go down because of the CrowdStrike issue?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. We're actually on Windows 7.
I promise you, we
Windows
are not
3.1.
actually on Windows 7 here.
No, we are.
we are not.
We are
Security
not.
through deprecation.
But the copy fail thing, I think, is just a continuation of this Linux. These Linux things
Yeah.
that are coming out, the NPM. So most of these things got Linux roots in them. NPM, these packages have Linux roots. So what's driving the supply chain attacks?
So I do want to make a huge difference here because there's a difference between this kernel level exploit and vulnerability and what we're seeing with the supply chain attacks.
Yes.
The supply chain attacks, they're either social engineering or they're finding credentials in order to be able to get in on the dev side of things and then upload malicious components to the next update for that package.
Is it true? Is it true that the malicious uploads that they're deploying they're not necessarily rats. What they're doing is they're grabbing credentials for like AWS
Yes.
and,
like the
and
API
Bitcoin and
So
stuff like that.
There have been a few that have rat components or have the capability of becoming rats, but
Yeah.
that's not
That's
like
the smaller subsection.
Yes,
Of
the vast majority of them are actually worms.
Yeah.
So if they get into other dev environments, like if it's a dependency, they will replicate themselves and start pushing themselves out on those packages as well. And then the main thing they do is they scrape for secrets.
Yeah.
Any and all secrets that they can possibly get. Google, AWS, Claude. So they're trying to find anything and everything for that package, that company, and steal it and send it out to their C2. And so what this has meant is because some of these packages are downloaded like thousands to millions per day.
Yeah.
Per day.
Updates.
and they're updates. And so anyone that updated, and some of them get caught within like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Others, it's been like weeks.
Yeah.
That it takes. And so it's self-replicating to a degree because you not only have the worm component that makes it spread itself, but then it's constantly scraping secrets that makes it easier for the people who perpetrated it to then do it again on other people that got their secrets stolen that maybe don't know it yet. And so it's made it to where it's become this cascading effect that it's interesting because half the time whenever we see something wrong with something on the vulnerability side, we say patch. Okay, well now they just patched and there was a dependency from one of these packages.
Yes.
They just introduced this thing in.
So I think it's important that we explain how these packages work. Most software deployed in the world is based off open source stuff. At least a component
There's a component, yeah.
There's a component of open source stuff, right? Usually on GitHub or mainly GitHub, to where you download packages. Say you've written a Python or a Django app or whatever. You've got Python, but it has all these dependencies. Those dependencies are the things that are basically open source.
Right.
Those dependencies, you can't run your thing without having those dependencies run.
Right.
They are dependent.
Yes,
on them,
absolutely. It's amazing the terminology on that. Are you sure we don't want to call it operationally maneuver the dependencies?
Well, I was thinking more like operation system. maneuver.
We need to
OSM.
sweep and clean the dependencies.
Yeah, that's
Search and destroy, whatever it is. Anyway, so whenever there's an update that needs to occur, typically, especially in the operating system side, to the code, what they will do is they'll do a yum get or yum update or a apt update or whatever the package manager is, npm update, whatever it is. And they will grab the updates to all the dependencies that they originally built their thing on. They may have even forgotten what dependencies they had, but it's up there in the code. It's include this, include that, whatever it is. And they will download those to their software.
Yep.
Right. And if that package has been popped, you are now popped.
Well, and it gets even more intricate than that because if you're building a web app, then you may be using an integration or a plugin like with maybe WordPress or something like that. That it may, in its code, in order how it works, be using a library that you don't know exists because you just got the plugin.
Yeah.
That is pulling down. So the next time you update the plugin,
hello WordPress,
you've already pulled that in.
Yeah.
And you have no clue that it even exists.
Right. And so who maintains these softwares and systems?
A single guy and probably like Ubiquistan, like in a log cabin.
So
somewhere.
that was the case for Log4j.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was like 2 people that maintained that package, right? But everything in the world ran on it.
Yeah, honestly, the Axios one was kind of spectacular because of how quickly they caught it. But they are an exception at this point.
No, agreed. But my point is, who's updating the software packages? Those are the administrators of the systems, correct? With elevated access to shit. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are going to have your AWS keys.
Right.
They're the ones that are going to have basically the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so if these things are stealing secrets, they're going to get your secrets. Now, what I find fascinating is how many DoD things are running these packages.
Well,
So here's, because I'm going to go ahead and put my conspiracy theory out here.
Okay.
Because there is one group that most of these, not all, but most of these have been attributed to.
North Korea.
No, do you know who it is?
It's North Korea.
It's Team PCP.
Oh, yeah, those guys.
And Team PCP is actually, for all intents and purposes, from what I've been able to glean, American-based. Maybe American
the
backed.
NSA. Oh, they would name themselves Team NSA.
PCP.
Well, I mean, back in the 60s, the CIA did conduct
Also,
experiments.
we don't know what kind of acronym they're thinking about. Maybe it's Patriots, compromising Patriots. I don't know.
Okay, you've had time to think about this. I can see this was a well thought out conspiracy.
I will say I've mentioned a couple of times about the idea that you hear about all the nation states for China and Russia, but you never really, because I mean we're in America.
Why
but
would
Also,
we?
here's the thing: none of these have ended up in ransomware. At least that we've been able to attribute to on any American companies, but they've been hitting American companies like crazy. And the NSA, the CIA, I don't care who it is, whichever American entity you want to put it on in DoD format, just scraping a bunch of secrets for everyone in order to be able to get backdoors or be able to look at telemetry or, I don't know, feed it all into Palantir and see what they can find. Yeah. You know, I mean, all that sounds plausible.
So didn't the CIA do experiments on people using PCP and LSD back in the 60s?
I mean, LSD and then because like the whole...
they did some marijuana too, but...
why can I not
I know, I'm trying to remember the name of the operation.
Yeah.
Operation PCP. Keep it simple.
Why can I not remember what that is? Like
that's all right. So
blank. But I do have
too much drugs.
I do have one thing that I do think is quite interesting with the idea with all the package thing. That's kind of makes it worse. Well, not worse, but it is worse. The idea with the packages and how whenever you're using things with libraries and then you don't know what's in the library, and so there's a dependency that peeled down that has some sort of supply chain or kernel level abuse. How many people have now been given tools or a tool that they can go and code without any knowledge on how to code,
and now all these packages
are getting pulled down?
So tell me, how did the NSA develop Claude and OpenAI to get all this shit?
What do you mean?
Well, you're the conspiracy theory dude.
They didn't have to develop anything. They saw Claude and OpenAI start getting used for vibe coding and said, oh, if we got some packages, we get in everywhere, wouldn't we? Huh.
Yeah,
by the way, it was MK Ultra. I couldn't really. I had to know.
I don't know why I could not think. I talk about it all the time.
I love that game.
The thumbnail that Donald's going to put up is going to be MK Ultra, the real truth, and it's going to be like the last 5 minutes.
No, I think it should just be Patriots compromising Patriots.
Well, PCP or
I think we're just starting to see the beginning of this. I think this is going to be the summer of the compromised packages.
Another kind of question, which I know we've kind of moved towards that with things like passkeys and credential, but do we think like a lot of this points to the fact that we've got to get rid of passwords as like,
well,
like
but
that,
these
like,
so, and that's the other thing. We've seen a shift on persistence towards registering device keys as part of how they get in through OAuth into identity. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that this is an answer on the attacker side to moving away from passwords. I think API keys and your secrets and all those.
Because nobody stores their own data on site anymore. Yeah. It's all in AWS or somewhere else.
Right. And so getting these keys, which are not passwords, they're keys into the API in order to be able to pull stuff
into the S3 buckets. Yeah.
Right. So that's what they're targeting now, because they realize that, hey, the password will get me something. If I can get some API keys for how they do business, I can get into everything. And I think maybe it may end up in exploitation again. I do find it weird that it has not as of yet because of how much has gotten scraped. Yeah, that is weird. Team PCP has also put out some indications that they're mainly targeting Iran, which again I kind of find weird with everything else that's going on.
Man, who knows? Who knows? All I know is that I believe that Axios unlocked some shit for people here. And I think Axios the package, not Axios the news organization.
Yes.
Clear distinction. Thank you.
And I think since that attack happened, we've seen this rash of things happen.
And that's the other thing is I think it began maybe with mostly Team PCP. I think it's about to start expanding because they've seen the efficacy of it and it's fairly simple to do.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Get somebody's GitHub password and you're off and running,
which
right?
means this is probably the new vector of attacks that is going to have to be watched out for more. And it's one of those things that I don't know a great way of being able to watch out for it.
I do. Well, I mean, I know that, like if you're a DevOps guy, fork that dependency and
the way package managers go about updating and the security on dev environments is about to have to go way up.
They're going to have to fork all that stuff, do code review, fork all that stuff, and then you've got a good copy.
Yeah, I think another thing too that has caused issues with kind of the development environment of many things, and it is the complexity is the enemy of security, and because we have continued to like the amount of dependencies that things have is insane.
Yes.
So
and your dependencies sometimes have dependencies. You don't know that.
Yeah, so it turtles all the way down. Yeah. Like you don't know. Like any one of those could be compromised, and that there's so much there that people don't understand how much is actually behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Like, you're building a simple app, but that simple app may have 5 dependencies, which then of itself have 20 dependencies. And so it's like each one of those is now a vector of attack, and technically always has been, but
All right.
And from the client perspective, because I mean, there's one thing on the dev side, and whenever you're doing the people that are managing these packages, they have a certain responsibility now that's definitely being put on them. But from the client side, there's always the fact that's true with any third party.
Are they? I mean, if you're producing a package for free, I mean, what's your responsibility?
Well, but that's exactly my point. Is there's always that kind of feel from third parties, but in security, we tell them you don't trust your third party like that.
Yeah.
You just don't. You don't know what kind of security environment they're running. You don't know what kind of controls they have in place unless you're doing audits on them, which not every third party necessarily allows you to do or does, and also the amount of overhead. So from a client perspective, from like our client perspective, how do you defend against this? I don't know a good way.
All I know is if they compromise pandas,
it's over.
NASA is done.
It's over.
And all our space stuff is done.
I mean, and you can try to do it to where you're constantly doing things like even updates in like a sandbox environment. But even that takes some knowledge. It takes some infrastructure. You got to build that up.
Yeah.
Most people just patch. And if you're just patching and this happens and you can't trust your package managers anymore, I mean, how do you protect against vulnerabilities whenever they come out? It's a problem that I foresee becoming bigger. And as of right now, I don't think that there's a good solution that's present. It's going to be a niche that has to be filled.
Yeah, all we can do is really keep an eye out on things, notify when we find things out, and
defense in depth still, absolutely.
Hopefully, one of the brain trust will figure out a better alternative. But that's it for today in this week's episode. Join us next week when we talk about something else exciting and new. We appreciate you joining us for this podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment if you don't mind. We absolutely appreciate you. And that is it. Goodbye.
Bye.